Typhoon Gaemi, a name that would become synonymous with waterlogged devastation, carved a path of hydrologic mayhem across East Asia in the summer of 2025. Unlike storms defined primarily by their wind speed, Gaemi's defining characteristic was its sheer volume of precipitation. As it lumbered slowly across the Philippine Sea, it acted like a colossal atmospheric sponge, drawing immense moisture from the warm ocean waters and the prevailing southwest monsoon. Its slow movement meant that its rain bands lingered over land masses for extended periods, unleashing biblical-scale deluges that overwhelmed river systems, triggered widespread flooding, and caused catastrophic landslides. The typhoon's impact was not confined to a single point of landfall, but was a sprawling, multinational disaster, leaving a trail of inundation, displacement, and damage that stretched from the Philippines to the shores of Japan. Profoundly affecting the lives of millions in its path. The Philippines was the first nation to experience Gaemi's water-laden fury. Though the typhoon's eye passed to the northeast of the country, its vast circulation supercharged the southwest monsoon, known locally as the Habagat. The result was days of continuous, relentless rainfall across Luzon, the country's largest and most populous island. The sprawling metropolis of Metro Manila, with its complex network of rivers and estuaries and its struggles with urban planning and drainage, was particularly vulnerable. Beginning around mid-July, the skies opened and the rain did not cease. The Marikina River, which runs through the eastern part of the capital, swelled at an alarming rate. Water levels quickly breached critical marks, forcing the mandatory evacuation of tens of thousands of residents from low-lying barangays. The scenes were eerily reminiscent of past flooding disasters, families wading through chest-deep, murky brown water, carrying children and salvaged belongings above their heads, rescue workers in rubber boats navigating streets that had been transformed into canals, and thousands cramming into makeshift evacuation centers in schools and basketball courts. The economic heart of the nation was paralyzed. Major thoroughfares became impassable, government offices and private businesses were forced to close, and the livelihoods of countless daily wage earners were washed away. Beyond the capital, the agricultural plains of central Luzon, the country's rice bowl, were submerged under a vast inland sea, destroying crops and threatening the nation's food security. The immense volume of water rushing down from the mountains also led to landslides in the Cordilleras, isolating rural communities and adding to the toll of destruction. As Gaemi continued its northward crawl, it unleashed its most concentrated rainfall upon Taiwan. The island's rugged central mountain range, which acts as a barrier to approaching storms, effectively squeezed the moisture out of Gaemi's clouds, resulting in record-breaking precipitation. Mountainous regions in the south and central parts of the island received over 1,500 millimeters of rain in just 48 hours, an amount that is difficult to comprehend. This extreme rainfall triggered thousands of landslides, fundamentally altering the landscape. Entire hillsides, stripped of their vegetation by the force of the water, collapsed, sending torrents of mud, rock, and trees cascading into valleys below. These debris flows buried roads, wiped out bridges, and in several tragic instances, engulfed homes and farms. The transportation network was severed. The Alishan Forest Railway, a popular tourist attraction, suffered extensive damage, with sections of its track left dangling in midair. The Central Cross Island Highway, a vital link through the mountains, was cut off in dozens of places, a scenario that would require months of repair work. While Taiwan's well-drilled disaster response systems saved many lives through timely evacuations from high-risk mountain areas, the damage to infrastructure and agriculture was immense. The flooding was not limited to the mountains. The runoff overwhelmed rivers on the western plains, leading to severe inundation in agricultural counties like Yunlin and Chiayi, destroying rice paddies, vegetable farms, and fish ponds. The storm served as a stark demonstration that even for a nation as well prepared as Taiwan, the sheer volume of water from a storm like Gaemi could push infrastructure and response capabilities to their absolute limits. After battering Taiwan, the weakening but still moisture-laden remnants of Typhoon Gaemi moved across the Taiwan Strait and made landfall in China's Fujian province. Here, too, the story was one of water. The system stalled over the coastal provinces of Fujian and Zhejiang, unleashing a prolonged period of intense rainfall. The deluge caused numerous rivers to overflow their banks, leading to widespread flooding in both rural and urban areas. In cities like Fuzhou, streets were submerged, and the subway system had to be shut down as stations took on water. The Chinese government initiated a massive emergency response, mobilizing tens of thousands of soldiers and rescue personnel. They worked tirelessly to reinforce river embankments with sandbags, evacuate hundreds of thousands of people from flood-prone regions, and conduct search and rescue operations for those trapped by the rapidly rising waters. The country's powerful state media broadcast continuous updates, showing dramatic footage of rescues and the immense scale of the flooding. The economic impact was significant, with factories forced to halt production, transportation links disrupted, and vast tracts of farmland inundated, leading to substantial agricultural losses. The disruption spread beyond immediate physical damage. With roads washed away and rail services suspended, supply chains across southeastern China ground to a halt. Ports in Fujian, crucial for trade, faced delays in cargo handling due to flooding of storage facilities and damaged equipment. Farmers in low-lying areas saw entire harvests destroyed, as rice paddies and vegetable fields disappeared under muddy floodwaters, compounding concerns over food prices already strained by earlier weather extremes. Families in affected areas faced uncertainty as homes were rendered uninhabitable, forcing many to take temporary shelter in schools, sports halls, and government-designated evacuation centers. There, volunteers and relief workers distributed food, bottled water, blankets, and medical supplies, though the scale of need often outpaced available resources. For many survivors, the trauma of losing homes, livelihoods, and in some cases loved ones, was deepened by the uncertainty of when, or if, they could rebuild their lives. The environmental consequences were also grave. Overflowing rivers washed industrial waste and household garbage into surrounding landscapes, creating concerns about water contamination and public health risks. Stagnant floodwaters became breeding grounds for mosquitoes, heightening fears of outbreaks of dengue and other vector-borne diseases. Rescue workers were often seen wading chest-deep through murky waters, carrying children, the elderly, and even pets, underscoring the human dimension of the catastrophe. For days, the rain showed little sign of letting up, and the constant sound of emergency alerts blended with the whirring of helicopters and the roar of swollen rivers. Even as an extratropical cyclone, Salfi, the remnants of Gaemi continued their destructive journey, moving northeastward and bringing heavy rainfall to parts of southern Japan. The island of Kyushu and the main island of Honshu experienced downpours that triggered flood and landslide warnings from the Japan Meteorological Agency. Prefectures like Kumamoto and Kagoshima, which had suffered from similar disasters in the past, were once again on high alert. Residents, already accustomed to seasonal typhoons, expressed fatigue and anxiety as they prepared for yet another emergency. Local authorities issued evacuation advisories for thousands of residents living near riverbanks and in mountainous areas, urging people to seek shelter in designated facilities before nightfall. In several towns, schools suspended classes, and community centers doubled as evacuation hubs where families sought safety together. The transportation system was affected, with some Shinkansen bullet train services being suspended or delayed, and numerous local train lines and highways closed due to the risk of landslides or flooding. Flights in and out of regional airports were also canceled, leaving travelers stranded. While the impact on Japan was less severe than in Taiwan and China, the fear of landslides loomed large. In mountainous regions, heavy rains loosened already saturated soil, sending debris crashing into roads and farmland. In some villages, residents used sandbags to redirect water away from homes, working together late into the night under the guidance of emergency officials.